Hello, AV friends. Thank you for joining us today for this EdTech update. For our discussion about education technology, we have with us today Kamisha Jones from Florida International University in Miami, Florida. Kamisha, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do over there?
Yes, I'm audiovisual project manager here at Florida International University. So I oversee a lot of our audiovisual technology here in our student center. And our student center is a very hub for most of our students. And we also have classes in this space as well.
Excellent. And we also have Joe Mark Phillips from who is the VP of Sales from Lockstep Technology Group. Joe Mark, tell us a bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on today. Yes, I'm Joe Mark Phillips. I'm Vice President of Sales for Lockstep Group here out of Dallas, Texas. Lockstep Group is a reseller primarily focused in the K-12 educational space across the Southeast. We primarily do a lot of audiovisual technologies. We sell those into school districts, consult with them to bring them the latest solutions out there. So.
Excellent. So we're looking forward to having this great discussion about technologies for K-12 and higher ed. And my expertise mostly lies in higher ed, being that I'm with Johns Hopkins University, if you didn't happen to miss it behind me. So I'll start with you, Kamisha. What new innovations or technologies are you most excited about in education?
Well, I'll say virtual reality. And the reason why I say VR is because I've seen how a class does virtual reality, such as giving them tools to know how to do a forklift, to do mechanics, to do some plumbing, to give them the skills and things that they need in order to pursue other things. Because, like I said, sometimes college isn't for everybody, and so they kind of fall off the wayside. So giving them the extra tools and extra skills for them to take back with them if they do not graduate from for college or anything like that. And also too, I'm speaking for K through 12 as well, because I've taught in K through 12 a lot as well too. So seeing that and especially in high school, and they have those features for students as well. So I think I'm more excited to see the expansion of VR in the classrooms as well as in the university aspect as well.
Excellent. And how about you, Joe Mark?
Yeah, I think in the K-12 industry, unfortunately, there's been more of a concern around physical security. With shootings and have those things that take place. Unfortunately, we are looking at some newer technologies in school districts, such as a product like Evolve, which allows students to really massively go through their lanes and not be held up in security lines and those types of things to detect guns. And so we are starting to see that bubble up and starting to see more demand for that type of security physically in schools. On the AV side, where it becomes more so, you're starting to see products like Extron coming out with IP over AV, where you can distribute any signal, any video signal to any device on a campus. That's becoming much more popular. It's an evolving technology, and it's going to become much more popular in the future. And then the last but least, you're starting to see IFPs in the classroom, interactive flat panels. That's becoming sort of the standard now in a standard classroom in K-12. And we've got technologies that can support that, whether it be bells and paging, emergency notifications, those types of technologies that Extron sort of also has there to help push those types of technologies to the IFP to give us those warnings or give us that type of communication that we need. Those would be the top evolving things that I'm seeing there.
Yeah, I feel like before we know it, AV over IP, it's not even, we're not even really going to talk about it, because it's just, that is going to be the way that signals are transported all over our campuses.
Absolutely. And I like the security feature that you were talking about, because once again, not only that the shooting happens in K through 12, and we're thinking about that also happens in higher ed. So we are also, I'm looking forward to more of a security aspect as well in the higher education, and how we can buckle down on that and try to prevent majority of those shootings. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about that is, if you have a metal detector, that just slows people down. It becomes a bad experience. If you can just walk through normally and people just come through and we're only trying to detect mass casualty type devices,
Exactly.
then it works, and it works really, really well.
Absolutely.
And it becomes something that people can adopt, right? And it's not intrusive and those types of things. So we're starting to see that. We're going to start to see that in not only in higher education and coliseums, but some of the major stadiums and NFL, NBA are starting to adopt that type of technology, and I think it's starting to take off. So
yeah,
that's a very interesting topic in way that because currently how security is done in a lot of places, it is almost like security theater. It gives people kind of that little bit of secure feeling that I'm going through this metal detector, I'm going to be safe. But I think that it takes away also from the overall experience that we're trying to, get students to feel comfortable in their learning environments. And that is, I think, an important part of the whole learning experience.
it really is.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, going back to the metal detectors, they do definitely slow people down, but also too, I'm thinking about it from a inner city standpoint. The schools that are in the inner city and they do have the metal detectors, I think for them, it's not a safety for them. That's more of a like, oh, I'm getting patted down, or I'm going through that metal detector. I don't feel safe because I know that it might be something more bigger than it actually is. So I think, us finding that innovative way to detect, large entities and things like that, I think it'll be amazing, because once again, we want to make sure that the students also feel safe, but also too, we don't want them to be scared either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Joe Mark, how do you see technology enhancing the learning for students, and what are the biggest opportunities, especially for in the AV community?
Yeah, as we're starting to see, in Texas, we have a lot of growth going on, and so there's a lot of new schools being built because of the influx of people coming here to live in Texas. So with that being said, what we're seeing with new school builds, we're starting to see, we still have traditional classrooms, but now we're starting to see small collaboration spaces. And that happens in higher education as well. But we're starting to see them specifically built and designed so that we can have small hubs. So you have an interactive flat panel and you have a small group, and then they can share their device on the screen. So those type of interactive collaboration hub or huddle spaces is really starting to catch on in the K-12 space.
That's very interesting. Because we, definitely have had use of those huddle spaces in higher ed for a few years now. So that's very interesting that K-12 is sort of seeing a shift to that style.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. There's a new elementary school that just opened up by my house, and as I go through there, they have huddle spaces in certain areas. In between two classrooms, there might be another huddle space with an interactive flat panel there so that they can do a small project together. Those types of things are starting to catch on. And so it's really exciting to see that.
What do you think, Kamisha? Are there any things in higher ed?
For us in higher ed, I think that we have gotten better with the virtual component for classes. And I say that is because we still have students that do not want to come to campus. And we want to try to still engage them into their learning. So we've gotten so much better with that interaction virtually and also too in person. So the students that are getting that virtual component are also too, getting that live feed as if you were in class. So I love to see that happening, but also too, not only for classes, we're starting to do better with events as well virtually. And they're like, oh, I feel like I'm actually in this space with them because it's so interactive. And you can talk to people that are online and things like that, and vice versa. So I love to see that virtual component still being there, because like I said, COVID forced us to have that virtual component, but now it's still available and we know that's not going anywhere. So we try to do our hardest to make sure that you feel that same feeling as you would in person virtually. So we're seeing a lot more of that, especially in higher ed, especially here in Florida and Miami, actually, because once again, we're in Miami, so we're more of entertainment city. So we try our hardest to make sure if you can't make it to this event, it's okay. We have that same event virtually, and you're gonna feel like you're still there in person. So I love that we're doing that more.
That's fantastic. And that virtual component is an excellent way of making education and events more equitable and accessible. How are other ways that we can use technology to, make sure that these experiences are staying equitable and accessible?
What I'm seeing is we're starting to utilize spaces in a school and in K-12 and in spaces like the gymnasium. Those are typically used for physical activities, but now we can apply physical activities to interactive learning. So we're developing, we're selling solutions like the Lou Interactive, where you can convert a wall space into an interactive wall, and you can have educational content on the wall, and you're doing activities or games. At the same time, though, they can have a presentation in that room. So we're really taking these spaces that traditionally haven't been used and converting those over to audiovisual interactive spaces that they can use for multi-purposes. And so we're starting to really, really see that. That's really starting to catch on.
Yeah. Same with higher ed, spaces that we don't actually use for classrooms. Like we have a ballroom, and one of our ballrooms can be converted to a class, but also too, we can make it not a classroom and it could be turned into other things. So I definitely, same over here. So yeah.
And another thing that we're seeing in the K-12 is, getting students access online outside of the school district. We're still seeing, you're still seeing school districts, large school districts, trying to give students access, not only with devices, but online access as well. And that's still continuing today. So that's still a trend that's still happening.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. One of the things I think that I've found interesting is lately I've been very interested in audio solutions for hearing impaired or people with hearing loss. And in kind of researching that and starting to implement some solutions, we've also found that not only is it helpful for those with hearing loss, it's also potentially helpful for those with potential attention deficit issues. So, they're able to listen on their, ear pods that can black out the rest of the sound. And so that they are able to really focus in on what the instructors are saying without as much of the distractions from around them. And I find that to be such an excellent use of technology.
Absolutely. And, we really do strive to put sound reinforcement better in the classroom, having 4 speakers instead of 2 in a classroom, having sound uplift where the teacher can wear a lanyard, a microphone lanyard, where they can speak and everybody in the room can hear. And now the teacher's not straining their voice. There's a lot of health benefits there. It's a win-win for the students. It's a win-win for the teacher. That is a huge, huge thing. And we really do try to enforce that and, try to introduce those and get those solutions out to those school districts that don't have sound reinforcement.
I just thought another thing for us, we've started implementing an interactive map because our campus is so large. So it actually gives you real time as far as like, you can be to this classroom in 3 minutes if you take this route, or defining the nearest Starbucks or the nearest food, it's this way, or things like that. So we are starting to really see our interactive map, because once again, we do have a large campus and we want students, because especially the first week of school, we have a lot of people that's trying to find their classes, especially freshmen, transfers, and things like that. So us having that interactive map, not only accessible to their phones, but we do have stations where they can look. It's like a directory. You can find, okay, I need to find where my language arts classes, my English classes. So I pick it and they'll show me exactly how to do that. So I think that is definitely a huge, big thing that we've started to implement now to try to get our students to make sure that they know where their classes are now.
Yeah, agreed.
That is so neat.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I'm gonna use the buzzword that I'm sure everybody was expecting was gonna come up at some point. So, what role do we see artificial intelligence playing in the future of learning? And, what excites you or concerns you about this?
I think what excites me about AI is the different type of way that they can learn. The students can learn at their different levels, because there might be someone that's that's not so good in math, and that AI can really assess that person, assess that student prior to what they had previously on their other classes, and work with them, have tutoring sessions and things like that. And also, if you're an advanced person that loves math, that AI can go to your level and give you more things to challenge yourself and things like that. So I think that's the exciting part for me, is that no matter what level that your students are on, AI will assess that and actually help them to advance to be better. So I think that excites me. What I'm worried about, and I think me and a colleague of mine had it, will AI replace teachers?
Mm.
And they're saying that the teachers give the students the what AI can't get you, which is the emotional stuff, the caring, the all of that. That's the emotional component to a teacher, and you actually need that for a student. But can AI be programmed to have those emotionals and things like that a teacher still gives? So that's what I'm really trying to see now. I'm really concerned, because you have a teacher shortage now. We have a teacher shortage, especially in Florida. We have a teacher shortage. So kids are being pushed into classes, and it's like a 1 to 34 students in a classroom, because it's teacher outage. So if AI is being replaced, will it replace teachers? So I think that's the thing I'm really worried about.
Well, I think there's some technologies in the AI space that are evolving. I think we'll see in the next 12 to 18 months where the AI can enhance and speed up lesson planning for teachers. Mm-hmm. So I think it can be an enhancement tool for them. So now they're going to be able to get a lesson plan on a particular subject, and the AI can help them create that lesson plan and get that done much more quickly and effectively. And I think that's going to really help the teachers to teach in a better way, because AI is going to provide some nuances and some variety of learning that they wouldn't have thought about, or the teacher wouldn't have have the ability to get that type of information that quickly.
Yeah, I think I'm most, I'm also excited about the AI that's being built into technology pieces that we already kind of have in classrooms, like cameras and microphones and things, to allow instructors to continue to excel at the virtual learning and lecture capture, but taking a lot of the kind of pressure off of them to actually have to set things up. So the cameras will be more intelligent in tracking them. The microphones will be better at picking up the volumes that they need to and blocking out kind of some of the extra noises that inevitably happens in a busy classroom. And also the just even the actual kicking off of the recording in and of itself, like to take all of those elements out of the hands of the instructor so that they can do what they do. They can just go in and teach their content and really make a better learning experience for their classes instead of them having to worry about like, oh, did I press record? Did I do this? Is my mic on? Is it picking up? Like, to be able to take as much of those things out of the hands of the instructors would be fantastic.
Absolutely. To get those things out of their way and let them focus on teaching is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I mean, being an instructor, you're thinking about a million things. You know, hey, am I teaching this lecture right, or am I going by the lesson plan? And oh, this student's going to be late, or things like that. Small things that teachers would do, and just to have that weight off of them, they don't have to worry about technology. That'll be amazing. I know a lot of professors love it, but what about the seasonal professors? Because I have those seasonal professors. They're stubborn, and I'm really trying, and I'm really trying with them. But there's those seasonal professors, but I love them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we certainly have plenty of instructors where we're having these discussions about putting all this great technology into the classrooms, and they're like, but will we have enough chalk for the chalkboards? And we're like, oh, you need a chalkboard in the classroom. Okay. Now we have to, take up that wall space with writing surfaces.
Right.
But yeah, eventually I think, and it's interesting because I think a lot of things that happen in K-12 now will have more of an impact on how things are taught in universities as we move forward, because the kids come out of high school with their instructors having taught using these interactive boards and stuff, and then they come and they take a step backward when they hit higher ed. So I'm thinking that we might see a little bit more progress as more and more kids are brought up with the technology, just being digital natives, and we in higher ed have to make sure that we're continuing to be ahead of the game instead of always being kind of doing what worked for all these years.
Absolutely. And I mean, I commend the students. Sometimes the students do help out the professors when they're, and the professors like it too, because they're like, hey, can you come help me with this now? And the students are willing to help, like, so and so you got to get with the program now, and it encourages them to learn the technology. So I'm grateful for the students because they're on it too.
Right. Yeah, they really are what's going to drive us forward.
Absolutely.
All in all. So, Kamisha, earlier you had, you brought up VR straight out the gate, and how like it really is like opening up things for, enhanced learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how close do you think we are to really using them effectively on a bigger scale?
I think we still have a little bit more ways to go, because I think the society has to get out that mindset that it's a video game. And understanding that it's more than just a video game. It's something that can help. So I think we still are battling that video game educational thing, because if you tell a dean, hey, we want to implement VR, they're going to be like, we're not playing video games in this classroom. So it's like, well, it's not necessarily a video game. So I think we just have to push forward with the benefits of it instead of it's not a video game.
Absolutely. Well, and also I think maybe letting the students push forward things, because I think that over the last few years, it's definitely been proven that gamifying learning really improves the experience all around for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think currently also another thing that's holding it back somewhat is the actual creation of the content. Like, I think we need more people who have the ability to take those ideas that the instructors might have and actually create the virtual world in which it's usable
Right.
and makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple products out there like the Victory XR for
Mm-hmm.
education where they're doing labs. You can do field trips, virtual field trips. You can, the virtual lab, you can create things and those types of things. It's coming. We need to get a lot more usability. The price probably needs to come down.
Yeah.
I think the content is starting to come. I'm
Mhm.
starting to see that. It's just, hey, the devices are still expensive, those types of things when you're starting to do
Yeah.
one-to-ones. But I think we're getting close
Yeah.
to adoptability on that.
Yeah. As with anything, a lot of times it's trying to fit it in the budget that tends to be a problem.
Oh,
So
yeah.
as the technology becomes a bit more ubiquitous, hopefully it then kind of competition ramps up, prices kind of come down.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to see, it a lot more used.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, everybody. And I feel like, we probably could have gone on for a little bit longer, but we got to make sure that we stay within our time frame. So, Kamisha, how can people reach out to you if they want to talk more about EdTech?
Yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn is my best friend. So you can reach me at Kamisha Jones on LinkedIn, and I'm there. So yeah.
Excellent. And how about you, Joe Mark?
Yeah, I can be reached at LinkedIn as well. And you can reach me there at Joe Mark Phillips with Lockstep Group. So you can reach me there if you need anything.
Awesome. And as for me, you can find me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on Twitter or find me on the HETMA community.